Welcome indeed to Jim'll Fix It.
He's a silver-haired Leeds legend who's making a comeback at the age of 80. He made his name through music and running marathons, and is now back on TV with a revival of Jim'll Fix It. The Yorkshire Evening Post spent the day with Sir Jimmy Savile when he showed us around his Leeds penthouse flat and also his favourite restaurant. He talks about his pre-fame days in 1950s Leeds, when he ran the Mecca dance hall and where he oversaw the birth of disco. He reveals all about his bizarre eating habits, and the bejeweled superstar also shares his views on marriage. I started by asking him about his favourite ever Fix-It.
I never, to this day, have a favourite Fix-It because I never looked at Fix-Its from my point of view. I looked at it from their point of view, and that was the biggest thing that ever happened in their lives at the time, that's for sure. So they were all favourites because it was favourite for them individually, and I always looked at it from their point of view. In fact, only about a couple of months ago, nothing to do with the new 6-part Jim'll Fix It, I got a letter from a lady who said, I was on Jim'll Fix It 30 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever, and I've now got 2 teenage children and they're a right pain in the neck. So I make them sit down and I say to them, if you're so clever, watch this, why haven't you been on television like me? And said, it's the only time in my life that I feel superior to my own children. For the 20 years that we did Fix It, we got just over 5 million letters. And everyone was opened and read, and if anybody was particularly popular, like the Osmonds or whatever, we'd get 20,000, 30,000 letters for them. So what we'd do, we'd put them in a big sort of open drum, and one of us would bring out a letter, and that would be the one, and I wouldn't let my people research the letter. Whatever came out, that was the punter. So we didn't go and say, oh, get the best looking one, or get the one that can talk best, or this, that and the other. And we had one letter, for instance, that was a good idea. Somebody wanted to go down the Cresta Run. And when we went round to see them, this was a geezer who was a night baker, right? And his face was whiter than the snow on the Cresta Run. And he didn't say very much, to say the least. But he did this thing down, and he was a real person, and that was the secret of Jim'll Fix It. We had real people, and not chosen people. And so on one of the runs that he did, because the camera froze up, one of the runs he did, he shot off into the air, turned up and finished up in a snowdrift head first. So everybody rushed off and dragged him out of the snowdrift. And the only speech he made was, when everybody said, are you all right? His speech was, it were a bit cold.
Despite turning 80 last year, Sir Jimmy still receives Fix-It letters through his door. I asked him what it feels like to be back on TV.
I've never been off telly. I started in 1958, 1958, and what with repeats and this and that and different sorts of shows, I've never been off since 1958, which is a long shelf life. It's just that with this Jim'll Fix It situation, it's an idea that I've had for about 10 years, because I've often wondered what it would like to meet up with all the lovely people that we fixed it for 15, 20 years ago. And so I said, we'll do 6 and see how it works out. And that's what we're doing, and it's working a dream, because it's fabulous for them to be back on Fix It, and it's fabulous for me to see them again. For a Fix It, it would be very nice to have a telephone in heaven, because that way I could talk to all the people that I've known that have gone, people like Elvis, Buddy Holly, John Lennon, Dr. all my brothers and sisters. That would be a terrific luxury to have a telephone in heaven. Yes. I am not actually a social person in the glitterati sense, because they like big lunches, they like big things, they like red carpet doors. Nothing wrong with that at all. The best of luck. Me, I'm not that type, because I was never actually in show biz, because I'm a service industry. When I play records, I'm playing other people's talent. It's not my talent. My talent is maybe picking the right records to play, so that people like listening to my programmes. Terrific, that's the only talent I've got. I'm playing other people's talent, therefore that makes me a service industry. So red carpets and stuff like that, don't apply to service industry people. We just have a nice time, we have a good time, and go out with friends and pals and go and have a run over the hills, whereas a showbiz person needs to be always looking good and needs always to be maybe get a face job or a job. Me, I don't even wear makeup on TV. In my entire television career, I've never ever worn makeup because they can make you look terrific. But what's the point of telling lies and looking terrific if when you take the mask off, you look like a walnut? Not for me. Thank you very much indeed. What you see is what you get. I was a great one for being out on the pushback. Winter and summer, out on the bike, that was it. And when I got to be about 20, 22, maybe 21, 22, I suddenly thought to myself, hang on, I'm going to have to get a bit of a job somewhere. Because I'd worked down the pit and that had finished, and I'd been damaged down the pit, and I was walking with 2 sticks and things like that for 3 years. I never bothered to get really another job because I couldn't do anything anyway at the time. I thought, I'll have to get a job because life is getting on. And so I got, would you believe, a newspaper called the Yorkshire Evening Post. And I looked at the situations vacant. And there were pages and pages of jobs. And I didn't fancy any one of them, nor could I do any one of them. So I thought, that's it. I can't get a job from here because I don't know how to do these things. So I've always had this reverse logic. And I thought, well, if I can't see an advert for what I'd like to do, let me work out the things that I'd like. So I got a piece of paper, literally a piece of paper, and a pen, and I went, what do I like? Stopping in bed of a morning, girls, warmth, fitted carpets, coloured lights, the most impossible list you ever saw in your life, right? And I looked at that and I thought, what on earth sort of job? Then I thought, hang on, I've just described a dance hall. A dance hall contains all of those. So I marched down to the Mecca in Leeds. By amazing J.S. fluke, the assistant manager had just left, been promoted, and I went to the manager and said, I'm your new assistant. And he said, are you? I said, yeah. He said, well, it's only £8.10 a week. I said, it doesn't matter, because it contained everything I wanted on that list. And that was where I started, and I finished up as a director of the company, running 52 different dance halls.
The tracksuit-clad star took me out to his favourite eatery in Roundhay, Leeds, where he shared his stories about celebrity friends, including the Beatles and Kinks frontman Ray Davies, who recently invited him to star in a music video. Sir Jimmy is as popular now as he has ever been, with a broadcast career spanning almost 50 years. He even has his own table at the Flying Pizza, where he knows all the staff by name.
I've got 5 places to live in England, and not one of them have an oven, because an oven means cooking, cooking means a lady means staying longer than 2 hours, and that would never do for me because I am a travelling pirate, right? And when all their various fathers, brothers, boyfriends, husbands come looking for me with a sawn-off shotgun, a diesel drip, and that's where I was. So, no cookers. Cookers is the first step towards brain damage. I've always tried to avoid putting anything in my mouth that's supposed to do me good. I grew up on a diet of bread and dripping, pork pies, whatever you could get hold of, and I'm very partial to all of those things. And when I go to banquets and stuff like that, I'll have 3 mouthfuls and then stop in case it does me any good. I'd much rather eat a load of dross, because dross obviously hasn't done me very much harm. My life from start to finish has been fun. Not fun at anybody else's expense, not fun causing trouble or bother or this or that. Straightforward fun. And it stood me well, and I managed to actually make a living out of having a bit of fun, and I can recommend it. Life is just a breeze. You wake up if you're lucky, and you don't upset anybody, you don't want anything from anybody, except you just want to share the fact that they're here, because life is people, and when I go outside whatever door I'm in the middle of 60 million friends, and it's a great way to live.